Okay, this is Erin Somerville at McCallum High School, and what we are doing today is looking at the House and the Senate. That's a comparison we're going to do throughout the semester, but today to start, what we're going to do is start a T-chart looking at the constitutionally assigned aspects, so powers and features of the chamber, and then the representatives and the senators themselves, their qualifications, their term lengths. And then what we should see once we've put information about the House and the Senate from the Constitution is we should get an idea of what the framers wanted the chambers to be like, what kind of characteristics they wanted for the two houses in our bicameral legislature. So we have our Constitution, we're making a T-chart, and we're starting at Article 1. The very first article of the Constitution is all about the legislative branch. It starts off with all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. What is the vocabulary word to describe a legislature that is split into two parts? That would be a bicameral legislature. This document is laid out in a very logical way. So if the very first section says that there will be two parts to this Congress, the next two sections would be about those two parts. So you can see Section 2 is about the House of Representatives, and then Section 3 is about the Senate. So I gave time in class to read through Section 2 and figure out how long are the representatives' terms, and what are the requirements to be a representative, and how are they chosen. So you could pause this and read directly from here, or you could look at your own Constitution or print one up, but looking at Section 2. So if you'd like to pause here. Okay, so what we see when we're looking for the qualifications and the frequency of elections in each of these sections. In the House, terms, a term is the length of period you get to hold that office once elected. In the House, they have 2-year terms. And in the Senate, they have 6-year terms. But as far as frequency of elections, we have elections every 2 years, every November of an even year. So let's put November even year elections every 2 years. So that means this November of 2016, we're having an election for the House and the Senate. So what we need to do is reconcile this. It makes sense for the House. They have elections every 2 years. They have terms every 2 years. But in the Senate, their elections also are every 2 years, although the individual senators themselves get 6-year terms. So when you look at Section 3, you'll see a long paragraph explaining how to reconcile that. Up here it says the Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. So how can we have 6-year terms and 2 elections every 2 years? So how it works is the senators, the 100 senators, are split up into 3 groups. And it roughly evenly breaks down. And so when a senator is elected, like your Senator Ted Cruz was elected in 2012, his term will go until 2018. But in 2014, there were elections. They just were for other senators, not for him. And in 2014, your other U.S. Senator, John Cornyn, was reelected. So he was elected in 2014. And that means he's good. He's got a spot until 2020. So in this upcoming 2016 election, neither of your U.S. senators are done with their terms. So you won't actually have any senators on your ballot. But in other parts of the country, other senators are finishing their 6-year terms and they might be running for re-election. So this year on the ballot, you won't see a senator. But in 2018, you will see an opening. And then in 2020, you'll see another opening there when John Cornyn's term is over. So what we have here are staggered elections, or there are 3 groups. So now this begs the question, why make it so complicated? Why do that? What that means is every 2 years there are elections for the Senate, but not for all of the Senate seats, only a third of them. So every 2 years, only 1/3 of the Senate could change. 2/3 can't change. Whereas over here in the House, we have 435 representatives. We get to, every 2 years, have the opportunity to keep our representative in office or vote our representative out of office. But as a country, across the nation, we as a whole have the opportunity to vote out all 435 people and vote in a new 435 people. As a country over here, we cannot change the full body of the Senate in one election. It would take 3 elections. It would take 6 years to really get all of those senators out and new senators in. So right away, when we look at the question, how are the two chambers supposed to be different, we can see that the House is supposed to be more responsive to the American people, closer to the people, more representative, hence the name House of Representatives. The Senate, on the other hand, we give them a longer leash. They have longer terms. We can't change them overnight in one election. This is supposed to be the more stable body, maybe the wiser chamber that, evens out with the House of Representatives, which might be more likely to succumb to the wills of the mob. Okay, so we have our term lengths, but our frequency of election is 2 years for both. Okay, so now let's go down to qualifications. There are 3 qualifications for both, and you'll find in the second paragraph of section 2 the 3 qualifications to be a representative, so you can read that, pause it. And here's the paragraph with the qualifications to be a senator. No person shall. Pause that there. And our qualifications to be a representative: you have to be 25 years old, 7 years a citizen, and you have to be 30 years old to be a senator, 9 years a citizen. And the third requirement is the same for both, that you must be resident there. So if you want to be a U.S. Senator to represent the state of Texas and have that Texas Senate seat, you need to actually be a resident of Texas. And if you want to be a representative for, say, District 35, which runs from Austin to San Antonio, you would have to live in that district. So notice, again, you can be younger in the House. You could live here less time. You have to be older in the House with a little more experience here. So it kind of matches the above information about term length, that we want maybe this chamber to be a bit older, wiser, stable. Now let's go to how they're chosen. That is in the very first paragraph of each of those sections. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every 2nd year by the people of the several states. By the people. That means we have a direct election. You go vote directly for your representative. Now in the Senate, first paragraph of section 3, the Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state chosen by the legislature thereof. So we, in the original document, don't get to go vote directly for our senators, but rather the folks we've elected to our state legislature here in Austin, down on Congress Avenue, they appoint the U.S. senators that get to work in Washington, D.C. on behalf of Texas. So that's really an indirect election, because we didn't go, they weren't on our ballot. So we'll put the state legislature, folks down at the Capitol, appoint. And again, we can see that for the House of Representatives, the folks there, we give them shorter terms, we vote them in directly, and we vote them out directly, so they are very tethered to us. Whereas over here, the senators have sort of that more elite status, and they are more insulated from the mob rule. But that has changed, and you can tell, at least in this version, when there's been a change because of brackets and an asterisk. this tells us down here that that was changed by the 17th Amendment. So what did change? The 17th Amendment in 1913 changes this so that now you do get to actually vote for your senator directly. So here it says, the Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state elected by the people thereof. So now we have, this was originally and this one is still. Now, some other information I put up here and we'll come back to. In the Senate, you have 100 senators, 2 per state. In the House, you have this kind of odd number that's not divisible by 50. We know that the House of Representatives is also based on population. So that might add to the ideas we have here about the House being more representative of the people, while the Senate might maintain more elite national interests. So for the rest of this, I want you to leave it blank, because as we go on to learn more about the House and the Senate, we're going to add things in here. And hopefully, once we've really filled out this T chart over the next couple lessons, we'll see that the 2 chambers really are designed to be quite different bodies. Okay, that is it for today.